Hello and welcome back. I'm Erin and I'm here with the creative design team. This month's collaboration features color theory, and today we're going to talk about different triadic color schemes. We're going to create a scrapbook layout, and then stay tuned to the very end because I have 3 awesome cards I'm excited to share with you, all featuring different triadic color schemes. I think it's so cool that Close to My Heart has their own little version of the color wheel here. It's a standard color wheel, but then they have shown us where all of their cardstock colors fit into the traditional color wheel. So it is very simple. When you're choosing a triadic color palette, you want 3 colors that are equally spaced around the triangle. I went ahead and just cut out an equilateral triangle from printer paper, and then when we line it up on our color wheel, we get the 3 points of color. We have up at the top green, and then violet and orange. An example would be the grape, the clover, and the nectarine. Very pretty color combination. So for another option, we can spin our little triangle here, and now we have blue up at the top here, and then red and yellow. So candy apple, bluebell, and saffron were some examples of that triadic color scheme. So I did quite a bit of research on this, and some feel that it does not have to be an equilateral triangle, that you can use a triangle like this. Now this would be like split complementary. So the opposite of green is red, so that's a complementary, and then you split it and you have a split complementary triad. But for the sake of today's video, we are going to stick with the traditional definition and go with the equilateral triangle here. So let's jump into today's scrapbook project. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. This is a new paper pack, not released yet, but I definitely wanted to use it in today's project. This is my youngest son, Clayton, and it's his first day of school, 7th grade, so several years ago, and I thought it would be fun to go with the yellow, blue, and red triadic color palette. So we're going to work with saffron, bluebell, and candy apple. This is the new mix-in paper collection. This is for the May and June, so again, not released yet. Hang tight, May will be here before you know it. But look at those tags. But you can see that bluebell is featured in this paper collection, and so I'm going to use some of it. I really love ledger paper like this. It's going to be perfect for my school layout, and white and black are neutrals, so I am going to sneak those into today's project. Along with the bluebell, I'm going to bring in that saffron and then candy apple, so we have our true triad of colors, the red, blue, and yellow. Hopefully the color theory police don't call me out on adding the neutrals, but we're going to roll with it. I think it's going to be fun. I'm going to use this bluebell pattern paper for my base page. I think I want the stripe side up, and then I want a border of the white daisy because I have an idea. We're going to create a background with die cuts. The inspiration layout had the background stamped, but I thought dies would be fun. So this is the classic alphabet die. They do measure about 1.5 inches tall, just so you know the size of this particular font. And then I went ahead and took my 3 colors to form my triad. I did the red, the yellow, and the blue, and I cut out those numbers, you know, 1 pass for each, so we have a full set in each color. So before I adhere those down, I'm just using a little bit of bluebell ink and my sponge dauber to go around the edge and give this a little bit of shading and just kind of finish off the edge a little bit more. I want to give these numbers a little bit of character, so I'm running a nail file over them and sanding them to bring out that white core, and you'll see here how cool this looks. And I know it sounds like a lot of work to do each and every one, but I definitely think it's worth it. So I did that off camera, so you didn't have to watch the whole process. And now I'm just going to layer these. I'm going to do like a dry fit before I adhere them down. I want to make sure that my color flows and is distributed throughout the entire column here. We don't want a concentration of one color in any given area. So I definitely recommend dry fitting before you go. And you can see I'm tilting some, laying some on their sides, and I think that just gives it a really fun look. So I'm going to bring in my paper layers. Here is that black kind of stripy pattern from the May and June mix-in. And I want to see, just because I don't want to bother putting the numbers behind where my photo's going, because it's just a waste of, you know, time. Nobody's going to see them. So we're just going to sneak these little guys in on the side here. That saffron pattern paper behind my son's photo is actually a retired product. That's from way back from the Fundamentals, I believe it was called. So I just pulled that from my stash. Same with this little red strip. That's from that same Fundamentals paper pack. So we're just going to run that along the border where the white meets the blue bell. And I think those look good. So I definitely recommend using liquid glue. For my scrapbook pages, I usually go to the clear glue, but I misplaced it. It's buried somewhere. So we're just going to go with this one. It works well. And this way we can kind of slide them into place. You have a little bit of time before they're permanently adhered. I finished that off camera, so now I have some of them going off of the edge of my papers, so I'm going to trim those over. You can see I had a bad print job of the first color wheel. It didn't turn out right on my old printer, so I didn't want that cardstock to go to waste though, so we just flip it over and use the other side. I wanted some of those numbers hanging off the edge of the paper because it gives it more of a natural feel, and it looks more like pattern paper when you do that. The original layout that inspired this one had stamping on the background, but I thought die cuts would be a cool touch, and I really like the way it is turning out. So I did see that original layout on Pinterest, and I'll leave that linked in the description box below because I want to make sure to give the original artist credit. You can see I'm using my edge distresser just to go around and rough up the edges. You know, I say this all the time, but you can use scissors if you don't have a edge distresser. I've never actually tried it, but I've seen others do it, and it seems to give the same look. So we're just roughing that up to give it a little texture there. And then we can get this situated back before we start bringing in our embellishments. So I want to create a kind of a spot for my title. So I cut a square of this ledger paper, and I'm going to tuck it under my photo. So it's just kind of extending from the picture. And I think that's going to make a nice place for embellishments and the title. I have these school compliments that I dug out of my stash, and there's a few little elements on here. Like this is a little note that says today, and I thought that would be fun to overlap the 7th because it's going to say 7th grade. Who remembers these little spiral paper clips? I'm digging way back in the stash, but that's what's so fun. You can mix old and new, and everything just kind of works together. This is also from the little compliments, and we have a paper airplane I thought would be cute. That's a little chipboard piece there. And then this Good Stuff word sticker is actually cut from a zip strip from the Hawthorne paper pack. I want my little paper clip to look like it is clipping this to the note paper behind it. So I'm going to overlap those just a bit. And I think that's going to look good. We'll layer the other one up top. And now to finish my title, I'm bringing in, this is called Stacy's Hand. This font is from the core catalog, and it has a really just kind of a fun, playful handwritten vibe. It reminds me of maybe what a little kid's handwriting would look like. So for my tip, now a lot of people, there's a line on the acrylic block. I like to line it up on my VersaMat and then pick it up with my block. And this usually turns out straight, and I don't have to fuss with it. I always recommend practicing first. Actually, I'm going to swap that out for some printer paper. And not only does this help condition the stamp, but you can make sure that you're happy with the placement of the letters. The VersaMat works well because not only are there horizontal lines, but there's vertical lines, and so it helps line those letters up. We will get this good and inky, and we're going to stamp it right onto our layout, just in this area here. And give it a good press, hope for the best, and oh no, the A didn't stamp, don't panic. I'm gonna try to line this up. I'm not re-inking it because there's still ink on that A. So we'll get this lined up, and it still did not stamp. There is likely an imperfection. I have several layers of paper here, and something's causing it not to stamp. So we put the foam underneath, remove all the other letters that you don't want, because who wants to line up everything? So I just had the A on the block, re-inked it, lined it up with my foam underneath, and it's perfect. Now I'm using the lowercase simple serif, and I just cut out a T and an H so our title reads 7th grade. I don't have a lot of school embellishments, so I'm going to create some with stamps. I have a little circle, the candy apple red, and this is the September word puzzle from years ago. They have new month featured stamps coming out every month, which is super exciting because this was the original batch a long time ago. But there's this cute little apple on there, so I'm stamping that down in my circle because, of course, you know, it's red. It goes along with our color scheme, and we associate apples with school. So I'm just going to move this around the page and see where I want to put it. I'm thinking maybe down in the lower corner here, and we'll set that little word phrase there for now. And now I have this washi tape. I've been hanging on to this forever, and I don't have a lot of opportunities to use it because it's obviously very school inspired. So I'm definitely going to use it. It's not close to my heart, but that's okay because all our scrapbook supplies play well together, right? So this little strip is super cute. It has like just a bunch of school images, alarm clocks and glasses and composition notebooks. I want a clean edge here, so I'm just trimming that up. And then I'm going to stretch it across the bottom of the page. Trim this side, and I'm going to tuck it underneath my photo. And we're just creating kind of like a row of washi tape borders for my title to rest on. I'm using my spatula to try and get it under there, and it's sticking to my fingers. I'm struggling. Hashtag the struggle is real, but I prevailed, and we're getting this down into place. This second washi tape has pencils on it, so it brings in more of that yellow and, of course, the school vibe. So we'll get this layered down next. Definitely quicker to do it this way. We learn as we go, right? And now I want one more, and this is like chalkboard with, you know, practice handwriting on it. So, and it has that more that black. I'm angling the edge there just for a little bit of interest. And you'll notice each row I'm putting a little bit shorter than the one underneath it. So it kind of has this graduated lengths as it goes up. From that same stamp set, I wanted more word phrases, so I stamped study, grow, and learn, and each of our colors featured on this page. And you can see this is just on the bottom of that same September word puzzle. Off camera, I did stamp his name underneath like a name tag on a desk with that same Stacy's hand. And I love the way those die cuts turned out on the background border there. It looks so cool. So remember, we just used our triangle and picked 3 points of color equally spaced around the edge to get our bluebell, saffron, and candy apple. So let's go ahead and take a look at those cards and explore some different triadic color combinations. We're going to move our triangle and land on yellow, green, blue, violet, and red, orange. Now, in Close to My Heart World, it gives you the color options that fit into those categories. So I have selected wisteria, peach, and avocado. I created a really pretty Mother's Day card featuring those colors. The background is the wisteria, the leaves are avocado, and of course we inked up the flower petals with the peach ink and the peach butterfly cut from the cardstock. This little vellum leaf is a sneak peek at some new thin cuts coming out in the upcoming catalog too. Not the green leaves, just the vellum one, but oh, they're so pretty. I love thin cut leaves. For our next project, we are going to shift it slightly to green, violet, and orange. So it's just a darker, you're just shifting a little bit. We have the clover, nectarine, and grape. And the card I'm about to show you also features a new thin cut from the upcoming catalog. So I found pattern papers that represented the clover and the nectarine, and then we used a solid. And actually, it's not grape. I messed up. It's the dark side of wisteria, but you guys get the idea. Now we've moved it to blue, green, red, violet, and yellow, orange. I brought in my distress oxide, so we have peacock feathers, mustard seed, and picked raspberry. So the mustard seed is a little bit more yellow than yellow-orange, but we're going to roll with it. This color combination created a really vibrant rainbowed background, and I used these fancy borders to create the white daisy and the vellum clouds there, and then the butterflies are cut from dreamy holographic paper. This was a fun challenge for me. I really enjoyed kind of working within the confines of a color theory. And, you know, you just move the triangle around, pick 3 points of color, and you're going to get a color combination that works. And don't forget, we don't have to use an equilateral triangle. You're still getting a triad of color by picking 3 different colors there. I hope you guys enjoyed all of today's projects. If you're not already part of the Crafty Concepts with Erin community, I would love to have you join us. So hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And tomorrow, Lisa is going to have something amazing for you, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Here's a link to the playlist if you haven't seen the other color theory videos. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.